Before I tell you this incredible story that will change the way you see humanity forever, I need you to do something for me. If you believe in kindness, if you believe that strangers can change our lives in ways we never expect, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Trust me, by the end of this story, you'll understand why I asked. And if this story moves you, and I promise it will, smash that like button because stories like this deserve to be heard by millions. Now, let me take you back to a rainy Thursday evening in downtown Chicago, where everything was about to change for two broken souls who had no idea their paths were meant to cross, ***. ### Chapter 1, The Storm Before the Meeting. The rain came down in sheets that Thursday evening, turning the streets of Chicago into rivers of reflected neon light. Marcus Thompson sat in his old Honda Civic, his knuckles white against the steering wheel as he stared at the restaurant across the street. Delmonico's wasn't fancy, just a family-style Italian place with red checkered tablecloths and candles stuck in wine bottles, but tonight it felt like a mountain he wasn't sure he could climb. Beside him, in her booster seat, 7-year-old Lily hummed a song she'd learned at school, completely oblivious to her father's inner turmoil. Her small fingers traced patterns on the foggy window, drawing hearts and stars while the rain drummed against the roof of the car. "Daddy, why aren't we going inside?" Lily asked, her voice sweet and innocent. "I'm really hungry. You promised me spaghetti." Marcus closed his eyes for a moment, steadying himself. Today marked exactly 3 years since Jennifer had left them. 3 years since she'd packed her bags in the middle of the night, leaving nothing but a note that said she wasn't cut out for this life. 3 years of Marcus trying to be both mother and father to a little girl who still asked why mommy didn't love her enough to stay. "We're going, sweetheart," Marcus said, forcing a smile into his voice. Daddy was just thinking about something. "Were you thinking about mommy again?" The question hit him like a punch to the gut. Children had a way of seeing through every wall adults tried to build. Marcus turned to look at his daughter, her mother's green eyes staring back at him from a face framed by wild brown curls that he still hadn't learned to properly manage. He'd watched countless YouTube tutorials on braiding hair, but his large, calloused hands from years of construction work just couldn't seem to get it right. "I was thinking about how lucky I am to have you," Marcus said, and this time the smile was genuine. "Come on, let's go get that spaghetti before they run out." Lily giggled. "Restaurants don't run out of spaghetti, Daddy." "That's silly." Marcus unstrapped her from the booster seat and pulled his jacket over both of them as they made a dash for the restaurant entrance. By the time they pushed through the door, they were both slightly damp but laughing, the first real laugh Marcus had experienced all day. The warmth of Delmonico's enveloped them immediately. The smell of garlic bread and marinara sauce, the soft Italian music playing from hidden speakers, the gentle hum of conversation from the scattered diners, it all felt like a warm blanket after the cold November rain. "Welcome to Delmonico's." A young hostess with a bright smile approached them. "Table for two?" "Yes, please," Marcus said, shaking the rain from his jacket. "I'm so sorry, sir, but we're quite full tonight. There's about a 45-minute wait for a table, but I can put your name down." Marcus felt his heart sink. It was past 7 already, and Lily needed to be in bed by 8:30 for school tomorrow. He should have called ahead. He should have planned better. He should have. "Actually, wait," the hostess said, looking at her seating chart. "We do have one table available, but it's our largest one, seats 6 people. Would you be willing to share if other parties need to be seated?" Marcus hesitated. He wasn't particularly social on the best of days, and today was far from the best of days. The thought of making small talk with strangers while trying to keep Lily from making a mess with her spaghetti was exhausting just to consider. But Lily tugged at his jacket sleeve, her eyes wide and hopeful. "Please, Daddy. I really want spaghetti." "Sure," Marcus heard himself say. "We can share." The hostess led them to a round table in the corner of the restaurant, partially secluded by a beautiful wooden partition decorated with fake ivy and twinkling fairy lights. It was actually quite nice, cozy despite its size. Marcus helped Lily into her seat and took the chair beside her, grateful that at least they were somewhat private. "Your server will be right with you," the hostess said, placing menus in front of them. "Enjoy your meal." Lily immediately grabbed a crayon from the cup on the table and started working on the children's menu, her tongue poking out in concentration as she colored a cartoon chef. Marcus watched her, his heart swelling with a love so fierce it almost hurt. This little girl was his entire world. Everything he did, every overtime shift, every sacrifice, every lonely night, was for her. After Jennifer left, Marcus had rebuilt their lives piece by piece. He'd learned to cook, mostly, to do laundry, he'd only turned their whites pink once, to help with homework, second-grade math was harder than he remembered, and to be present in a way that his own father never had been. It wasn't perfect. They lived in a small two-bedroom apartment on the rough side of town. Marcus worked long hours at the construction site, which meant Lily spent more time at after-school programs than he would have liked. Money was always tight, there was no room for luxuries, no savings for emergencies, no safety net if something went wrong. But they had each other, and for Marcus, that was enough. "Sir?" The server appeared at their table, a young man with a genuine smile. "Can I start you off with something to drink?" "I'll have water, please. And milk for my daughter." "Chocolate milk?" Lily asked hopefully. Marcus pretended to think about it. "Well, since it's a special occasion." "Yay. Thank you, Daddy. 1 chocolate milk, 1 water. I'll be right back with those." As the server walked away, Marcus noticed the restaurant was indeed filling up. Almost every table was occupied now, and a small crowd had gathered near the hostess stand. He started to relax, thinking they might get through dinner without having to share their table after all. That's when the door opened again, and she walked in. Chapter 2, The Girl Who Refused to Hide. Maya Chen had almost turned back 3 times before finally pushing through the door of Delmonico's. The rain had given her a convenient excuse, she was already wet, she might as well go home, she could order delivery instead. But some stubborn part of her, the same part that had kept her going through 3 years of rehabilitation and countless surgeries, refused to let her retreat. She was tired of hiding. Tired of eating alone in her apartment. Tired of the fear that had become her constant companion since the accident. The accident. Even now, the memories came in fragments, like shards of broken glass. The screech of tires. The sickening crunch of metal. The smell of gasoline and blood. And then the hospital, months in the hospital, surgeries she'd lost count of, the moment when Dr. Patterson had told her they couldn't save her leg. She'd been 23 years old, a promising ballet dancer with her whole life ahead of her. One drunk driver had taken everything. Now, at 26, Maya was still learning how to exist in a world that wasn't built for people like her. Her prosthetic leg was hidden beneath her jeans, but she still walked with a noticeable limp. Most days, she used a cane, a sleek black one that she'd decorated with stickers from her students, because if she had to use it, she might as well make it hers. Yes, students. After the accident, after the darkest year of her life when she'd almost given up entirely, Maya had found a new purpose. She now taught dance to children with disabilities at a community center downtown. She couldn't perform anymore, but she could teach. She could show these kids that their bodies were capable of beautiful things, regardless of what the world told them. But teaching children during the day and going home to an empty apartment at night had started to wear on her. She was lonely, profoundly, achingly lonely. Which is why, on this rainy Thursday evening, she had forced herself to leave her apartment and go to a restaurant. Just to be around people. Just to remember that she was still part of the world. Welcome to Delmonico's. The hostess's smile faltered almost imperceptibly when she noticed Maya's cane, but she recovered quickly. Table for one? Yes, please. Maya hated those words. Table for one. Party of one. Always one. I'm so sorry, but we're completely full right now. There's about an hour wait, but... An hour? Maya felt her resolve crumbling. An hour of standing in this crowded entrance, people staring at her cane, pitying looks and uncomfortable glances. She couldn't do it. She should just leave. Actually, wait. The hostess glanced at her seating chart. We have a large table with a gentleman and his daughter. They agreed to share if needed. Would you be comfortable joining them? Maya's first instinct was to say no. Sharing a table meant conversation, meant explaining, meant the inevitable moment when someone noticed her leg and didn't know how to react. But the rain was still pounding outside, her apartment was cold and empty, and she was so tired of always saying no. That would be fine, Maya said, surprising herself. Wonderful. Follow me, please. As Maya followed the hostess through the restaurant, she felt the familiar sensation of eyes on her. Her limp was more pronounced when she was tired, and she was exhausted tonight. She kept her gaze straight ahead, refusing to meet the curious stares, refusing to let them see how much it cost her to walk through a room full of strangers. And then she saw the table. A man and a little girl, the man looking uncomfortable and the girl completely absorbed in coloring. Something about the scene made Maya's heart squeeze. The man had the look of someone carrying an invisible weight, the kind of exhaustion that couldn't be fixed by sleep. Sir, the hostess said, approaching the table, this young lady will be joining you, if that's still all right? The man looked up, and Maya braced herself for the reaction she'd learned to expect. The quick glance at the cane, the flicker of pity, the forced cheerfulness. But this man just looked at her face, met her eyes, and something in his expression shifted, not pity, not discomfort, but something that looked almost like recognition. Like he knew what it felt like to be looked at differently. Chapter 3, the question that changed everything. Marcus saw her before she reached the table, a young Asian woman, maybe mid-20s, with long black hair pulled back in a ponytail and the most striking brown eyes he'd ever seen. She moved with a careful grace, her weight supported by a black cane decorated with colorful stickers. Something about the set of her jaw, the way she held her shoulders back despite the obvious difficulty of navigating through the crowded restaurant, spoke of a fierce determination that Marcus recognized. It was the same determination he saw in the mirror every morning when he got up to face another day as a single father. Sir, the hostess said, this young lady will be joining you, if that's still all right? Marcus rose from his seat automatically. His mother had raised him to stand when a lady approached a table, and some habits were too ingrained to break. The young woman seemed surprised by the gesture, her eyes widening slightly before she composed herself. Of course, Marcus said. Please, sit down. But as the hostess moved to leave and the young woman began to lower herself into a seat, something unexpected happened. Lily looked up from her coloring, saw the woman's cane, and with the unfiltered curiosity that only children possess, asked the question that made Marcus's heart stop. What happened to your leg? The words hung in the air like a bomb about to detonate. Marcus felt his face flush with embarrassment. The young woman froze, her expression unreadable. The couple at the nearest table had clearly heard, and they were staring. Lily. Marcus said sharply. That's not appropriate. I'm so sorry, ma'am, she didn't mean. It's okay, the woman said, but her voice was strained, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Kids are curious, it's natural. She sat down carefully, propping her cane against the table. Marcus noticed her hands were trembling slightly. He felt terrible. This poor woman had just wanted to have dinner, and now his daughter had put her on the spot in the worst possible way. Lily, you need to apologize, Marcus said firmly. Why? Lily asked, genuinely confused. I just asked a question. Because some questions are private. It's not polite to. Really, It's fine, the woman said, though she still looked uncomfortable. I lost my leg in a car accident 3 years ago. Lily's eyes went wide. Like, it fell off. Lily. But the young woman surprised him by actually laughing, a small, tentative sound, but genuine. No, not exactly. It was hurt so badly that the doctors had to remove it. Now I have a special leg that helps me walk. Can I see it? Lily. Marcus was mortified. I am so sorry. My daughter apparently forgot all the manners I tried to teach her. But Daddy, I want to know. Is it like a robot leg? Does it have superpowers? Marcus dropped his head into his hands, groaning. This dinner was a disaster. He should have just stayed home and made boxed macaroni and cheese like he'd originally planned. He looked up at the young woman, ready to apologize again and offer to move to a different table if one became available. But something strange was happening. The young woman was looking at Lily with an expression of wonder, as if she was seeing something she hadn't seen in a very long time. Her shoulders had relaxed, and the tension around her eyes had softened. You know what? She said slowly. I don't think anyone has ever asked if my leg has superpowers before. Does it? Lily asked eagerly. The woman glanced at Marcus, as if asking permission to continue the conversation. He gave a small nod, curious despite himself. Well, the woman said, leaning forward conspiratorially, it doesn't have actual superpowers. But it did teach me something kind of like a superpower. What? What? It taught me that I'm way stronger than I thought I was. And that's pretty super, don't you think? Lily considered this seriously. Yeah, she said finally. That's pretty cool. My daddy says I'm strong too. He says I'm the strongest girl in the whole world. The young woman smiled, a real smile this time. Your daddy sounds like a smart man. He is. He's the smartest and the best. He makes me pancakes on Saturdays and he does all the voices when he reads me stories, and one time he built me a whole castle out of boxes. Marcus felt his cheeks warm, but not from embarrassment this time. Lily loves to talk, he said apologetically. I'm Marcus, by the way. Marcus Thompson. Maya Chen, the woman said, extending her hand. Her grip was firm, her palm smooth against his calloused fingers. And I think Lily is absolutely delightful. I'm delightful. Lily agreed happily. My teacher says I'm also very spirited, which I think means the same thing. Maya laughed again, and this time it was full and warm. I have a feeling very spirited means your teacher has her hands full.